Artivism is the word that comes out when we connect art and activism. And artivism is like, it's about creating art that it's somehow connecting with what the world needs. So it's a way of being an artist, but also creating art that connects with the world and with reality that we are facing together as a humanity. So for me, this is very, very connected with the present moment. Like this artivism role, I think it's stronger than ever in this moment in our lifetime. And this is also connecting very much with community awakening, because for me, artists are characters in this role play game that can help bring this movement, this awakening to communities, because they have the intention to create like a piece of art that goes beyond the normal aesthetics of creating just a painting or a sculpture, but they go beyond creating experiences so people can get connected and can feel that they belong to a bigger entity, which is the community. The art that I do, it has a lot of connection with participatory art, because participatory art is a way of doing art that it's kind of making a transition, a movement with the role of the artist. Like the artist is not anymore in the center, but the people that is participating, that is making, like, it's kind of co-creating the piece, the work of art or the experience or game. So this is really important because we need to give people like kind of, I really like also to connect participatory art with education and how can I educate through art and through different experiences. I feel that what I do is kind of create space, like a scenario. There is like a starting point, but it can shape in a different way depending on what people wants to bring to it. So it's a really kind of a life way to do art. Like it's not closed, it doesn't have boundaries, but it has like open doors so people can go inside and feel part of it. And also, when you leave these doors and windows open, you are also inviting to unexpected things to happen, and so making like randomness be part of the process. Also, the participatory art, it's really, really helping us to go back to how to be a community, how to interact in a way that we are kind of not creating conflicts or creating difference, but just being together and just adding knowledge to our collective resilience also. Changing the idea of that, oh, this is my thing, like, the people when you are like feeling that you have to go through this path, okay, I have to go to the university and I have to be the best one so I can have a job and then I can buy a house. So all these stages that society told us that we are supposed to go through to be somebody, for me, somehow in this reality has completely changed, and we are not longer anymore guided by these lines, but we need to find new ways of feeling connected with ourselves, feeling that we are really, really taking care of our connection with nature, with ourselves, with the community. So I think participatory art can be a really, really amazing way, an amazing tool to do that. So resilience is something that for me is like a cycle, and I feel that it comes from a place of a starting point of finding a common point of starting where you feel, okay, this is what it's challenging me, and as a community we have a lot of things that challenge us, right? Like climate change, for example. So for me, this participatory art and how Artivism can awake community will bring and is bringing resilience through the fact that we are kind of facing the problem with another perspective. Also that we are helping each other to create a tapestry that will hold a new reality. So there is a lot of ways of how can we connect resilience with self-development, or with the idea of being of belonging to a community, or also we can build resilience by sharing or creating spaces where we can share our realities and also receive care from others. So I think for me it's really interesting how to build resilience by creating spaces or gathering spaces in cultural centers, in the city, in nature, where we can bring this attitude outside. Also is connecting with our vulnerability. A thing that I'm also researching and testing at the moment, because right now my project is called Maki Play, and I have an artist residence in Murcia. And what I'm going to do starting in September is to create a space where I want to gather people, and I want to create participation through different proposals, like creating installations that raise communication also in the streets. Or also I'm going to create an app that will help people kind of geolocate spaces in the city or in the land where there are rubbish or plastics. And so I want to give them the tools for them to regenerate this landscape, this environment. And maybe we can activate resilience through activating a community, because I think everything is connected, right? I will explain you with an example, an activity that I facilitate during this July, and it was like a sensory walk. I invite people to gather and to be open to live the city or experiment the way we walk or act through the city with completely another way, and like a new way, connecting very much with mindfulness, playful feeling, and also really deep connection with nature. So what happened is that I feel that wellness is really, really deep connected with what I do in my work of connecting with play and connecting with this playful sense. Because I think wellness can be connected with this taking care of yourself, of nature. Also, for me, it has different paths. Like, can be that I feel really connected with myself when I'm allowing myself to be playful in the city and to be seen in a public space where I'm supposed to, like, there's these paths that society is like have created for everybody, and they are like a canon that it's creating a lot of stress because we are not anymore in this vibration. And so if we need another way to connect with ourselves and find the wellness. So for me, playfulness and games and these activities connects you with this state where you can connect with your wellness. Also, we can connect with wellness through the feeling of we are sharing an activity, a practice that was in this also sensory path that I was creating, this Lázaro activity, which is like you have a couple and then one of them is guiding the other through discovering nature, discovering the textures, the world that is surrounding you. So you are allowing yourself to find a new way to connect with what is surrounding you, with living things, living beings that are in nature. So for me, this new perspective brings a lot of meaning, because now we are creating a new relationship where we are not putting ourselves from the beginning in a situation of, okay, we are the oppressor. Like I feel also disconnecting with this. So when we are now in a position of horizontal position with humans beside nature and not feeling like we are above her, for me, this point is where we can find meaning, because I find meaning when I connect the things that I love to do with what the world needs. That's where I find meaning. And if I am not in this horizontal position with Earth and finding myself just beside her, I cannot find meaning because I'm not connected with what the world needs. And what the world needs, I feel, is super connected with my way of doing art. It's kind of a connecting in another way. So also, when you find this meaning, that for me is connecting my passion with what the world needs, because I really want to be somebody that is. I don't look for fame or to have a name. I really look for just bringing something to the world that can help us be much more connected. And so this is also for me a healthy thinking, like not feeling that I need to feed my ego as an artist to be somebody in this world. But I am already somebody, and I just want to bring my energy to help through this situation, because I think we are facing times of a lot of change and a lot of emergencies and a lot of challenges that are like shouting us, okay, we need to focus really on resilience, on community awakening, on wellness, but we need to focus in finding a new way to focus this, because the way that we have already walked is not longer working. That for me, it has also came up a lot during quarantine, because I was alone in my house, and I was kind of forced, but I was so grateful after these 2 months of really get the time to find my inner space. And the inner space of everybody it's like a sacred place inside of you. And the distance, it's super necessary to, like you said, to have perspective of what is happening inside you, what is this making me feel, and the questions that you make yourself in this inner space help you like really deep understand what you need and what is your path and how to connect better with the world outside of you. So for me, this state of being alone in my practice, it has a space, because for me, for example, as I would take the example of the sensorial path, there was a moment in the sensorial path where everybody was sitting by the river, and we have also like a moment of meditation within ourselves and just having the stimulation of watching the water. That is something also that I was listening in the podcast of Forest Bath, because it's just looking at the patterns of nature connect us with how the life is emerging and how we are part of this. Also, I had a reflection during quarantine about the concept of being alone. And it's as I was asking myself, how are we resilient? Like, and when are we resilient? When are we conscious that we are being resilient, or that we are in a resilience path that is kind of guiding us or helping us heal inner trouble or inner blockage? So I realized that for me, it's resilience requires like a path that you have that you will have to walk alone. Like a part of the resilience process, for me, it's a path that you need to start. When we find resilience, when we kind of realize about something that needs to be changed, and we find like, okay, we are in this point of darkness that I want to talk about, but we are about to reborn. So this moment of darkness, moment of being in the darkness, where you don't know exactly where to go or what to do, it's also a moment of really opening yourself to the unexpected and go into the unknown through your own path of self-development and self-discovery. It's really interesting, because being alone can also be really, really close to be connected with the unity. As the word, I discovered this also in the quarantine, like alone comes from the word all one. And it was really like a moment of boom in my head, like, oh my God, okay, so when I'm alone, I'm also connected with all the things that I am also myself. So it's like has a connection with the unity concept. Like being the unity starts from being alone, and being alone like happy, like feeling like I can be alone and I can connect with my inner space, and I really honor that space because it's something that I need to also be balanced. I cannot be out in the outside world like all the time. I need to go back to myself. So this is some things that I feel we need to understand individually to build a stronger community. Wandering is being into the unknown, feeling that we have no direction, that we cannot see exactly which is the path, but we know that this process will guide us to something that will maybe help us discover something new of ourselves. So I feel wandering is a state of being in the world that is kind of helping you to just understand that the unexpected will come, and that you don't need to put resistance to it. You just need to follow the vibe of these unexpected things that will happen. And also it will help you to feel that at some parts, at some points of your life, you have the control, but at other points you don't have control and you cannot change. So you need to accept the change, and this connection, this wandering is for me a state of being that helps you go through. So the wandering is helping you go through situations, like tough situations, with a much better state of mind. So I can get through maybe a difficulty, maybe a playful way, or in a way that before I couldn't even imagine. Because sometimes we are like, we have a difficulty or something happens that completely change our plan. And we start to stress ourselves. We start to think, oh my God, what should I do? We start to block. But if we see this change, this messy situation as an opportunity to create a new perspective or to find a new solution for the problem, we could actually enjoy this process of resilience in a much healthier way. So for me, wandering is super connected because it's like the way we focus or we face the difficulties. It's like the best way for me to face this, because it's helping me being resolutive, find creative solutions, or challenge myself, or really find something that was completely out of my comfort zone. So it's helping me grow at the end. Being a part of a community, it has also a space of transference, that when you become a part of it, it's like a process, like a narrative, that you go through different phases, maybe different gatherings where you got more and more connected, or you have the moment of express yourself and be seen by others. And so like doing this can help you find your inner path or your passion or your profession. And like this and sharing this with people, you can also contribute, as you said, with what you have inside to what we are building together. So I feel this is super connected with that communities also help us. And because we are part of it, we are part of the fabric of life that is existing in this planet. And that's super okay. But just we need to be really aware of from where we are inhabiting nature, and doing it with this approach that is connecting us with taking care, with being horizontal, with finding new ways of also creating gathering spaces that will help us regenerate a lot of forgotten spaces that are polluted and that have been creating a lot of problems. And because it's like a problem that then creates branches and goes through all the systems of life. Look, if we do this, then the water will be affected, then the food that will grow in the earth will be also affected, and then will come back to us in the change of life. And yeah, I feel it's something that's super interconnected, the interconnectedness of an holistic vision of what life is, and what we do for damage will come back to us. I think that we already know this, because in this moment of life, humanity, we are super, more than ever, we are aware of that this is happening, that we are in a moment of emergency, and in a moment where we need to really be active and try to bring ourselves together to create a new way of living that will help us sustain life. Because otherwise, I mean, in 30 years we will be, I don't know how. I hope not so very, very bad situation. But yeah, it's about us. It's about how we connect, that we can create a better future for everybody.